Hello, Sonia Lakani here, and I'm here with lovely Jessica, who is one of my 2 weeks to Trademarks alum. Welcome, Jessica. Thank you so much for being here, giving me a piece of your day and out of your very busy schedule, as viewers will learn shortly all that you're up to. Thank you so much.
I so appreciate chatting with you. And I'm definitely happy to share how 2 weeks to Trademarks has helped me out.
I'm so glad. So I know you, I know how amazing you are, but we're capturing stories so that if people are brand new to you, tell us about yourself, what you're up to, and what you've been doing.
Yeah, so my name is Jessica Crawford, and I took 2 weeks to Trademarks. I want to say back in September or October. And my background is that I am a news anchor, and I also went to law school. I graduated in 2019, and I wanted a chance to practice, so I wanted to do it on my own terms. So really throughout my whole time of being in law school, I was trying to find the best way that I could practice it in such a way that I could manage myself, that I could do it part-time or scale it up if I needed to. And so it took me a long time to be able to find that perfect thing, but I researched this, and all of a sudden you came up, your 2 weeks at Trademarks thing came up. And so I got really curious about it, and I wasn't able to afford it right away, but I followed you. I went on the Trademark Attorneys Facebook page, and I just saw all the value. And I was able to learn a little bit about trademarks just through following you. And so that's what made me want to go ahead and take the leap. And I'm so glad that I did take the course, because it's been very beneficial for me.
I'm so glad to hear that. You guys, she's a whole entire news anchor and a lawyer. Good Lord. Like I don't know how you sleep. And you don't. You said you have a 1 a.m. show or 3, you're on the morning show, so you wake up at 1 a.m.
Yeah, I wake up around 1:30. I get to work around 3:30. So my day ends, my news day ends around 11 or noon, and that's when my law day began.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys, there are moments where I think I'm going to bed or like still up and she's had a whole entire work day. Like she's waking up when I'm going to sleep. That's insane. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So let's talk a little bit about kind of where you were, like you said, when you were looking for something that would help you get kind of instruction. What did you feel most stuck on at that time frame?
As far as trying to even like find a practice area.
Mhm.
Yeah, so my issue was I knew that I was going to perhaps move around to different states, and I knew, again, I did not want to take the bar exam. I knew one time was good enough for me.
One bar and we're done. Yeah.
So I wanted to, at first I was thinking like estate planning, like I could do, people's wills and trusts and things like that, and just refer them out for probate. So I started that at first, but it wasn't the most fun thing to me. But I definitely had always been interested in like business ownership and the different aspects of that. And so when I came across Trademarks, and one of the things that you made clear on your website was just how convenient they are for people who don't want to take multiple bar exams, or for people who want to work from home, or who don't want to go into the court every day. And that's really what I not only wanted, but it's what I needed, because I couldn't go to court all day because I was doing something else. And so that's what I was stuck on. And then that's also why I knew, once I saw your content, that Trademarks could possibly work for me.
So was it that you had decided on Trademarks and then found me as a way to learn it, or like you didn't even know this was like an option until you found me and you're like, oh, and then she also teaches it?
I really did not know too much about it being an option. So my mother, now that I'm really thinking about it, my mother had a friend named Anitria, and Anitria Stevenson, actually. And
Yeah.
and she does Trademarks. And so Anitria towards the beginning of my search for my practice area, I called her and she very kindly, shared with me her story of how she started doing trademarks. And she said, if you want to learn about how to do this, she was working from home, all of these things I wanted to do. She's like, if you want to learn how to do this, there's a course. And so I'd heard a little bit about the course from my own research online, but having her just confirm it for me that it would be helpful was really good. And that's kind of what led me to taking my next step of just like saving up my money so I could do it.
I love it. I love it. Like, you saw it, you were like committed to it, and then you followed through with it, and here you are. So you said you've been an attorney since 2019.
Yes.
Okay. And you found the course and took it, I guess, about 7 months ago.
Yes.
Okay. So, so you find the course, and obviously there's two options. What were you kind of looking at as far as trying to decide between the two versions, and which one did you ultimately decide to do?
Yes, so I know of two versions of the course. So it's the Boss of Myself and then the Boss of the Empire. And
Boss of a motherfucking empire.
Boss of that. I wasn't sure if it was like Monday through Friday Empire or whatever. So I was like, Empire.
Just asking if you're not down with a little street talk, but like I also try to be real. I'm like, that's how I talk, you guys. Like, and let's not pretend that we don't throw F-bombs around like we do,
I
and
think it's fine. No,
yeah.
That's another thing that I really enjoy about it. It's very relatable. So, so my decision, it was partly based on what I could afford at the time. Because in that job that I was working, I didn't have a lot of extra income. So it was partly based on what I could afford at the time. But it was also based on, I wanted to make sure, I knew in the Empire version, there was some like tips as far as advertising and things like that. I wanted to make sure that I was advertising in such a way that my news station would be okay with. And so, I decided to stick with my original advertising at the time, just so I wouldn't run into any conflict issues. I don't know that I actually would, but that's what my thinking was at the time in choosing Boss of Myself.
Yeah, and that's something that is really important. If you're watching this or listening to it and you have a day job, whether it's federal government or for a firm that doesn't do trademarks, and you're like waiting for your leap, your moment, or whatever it may be. If you're doing something that is not going to be relating to trademarks, definitely keep that in mind, is how you advertise, and making sure you're within the parameters of not getting in trouble, because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot in any way and piss off anyone.
Yeah, and I think that's also great how you have the calls and everything. So, somebody wants to pay for a call with you, they can discuss like their unique situations so that they can, you can kind of talk them through the different kinds of advertising that might work better for them if they are in this type of situation, to where they have to be a little bit more reserved with how they are advertising.
Yeah, definitely. When you have to be a bit more discreet, you have to get a little bit more creative. And in the day and age that we're in, with online, with social, with being virtual, so much of it is out there and you're searchable, right? Anyone can find anything you're doing. And so it is kind of awkward, because you're like, your family members stumble upon like your TikTok and you're like, oh no, that wasn't for you. Like, keep it moving, but it's like, you have to be careful. And so, yeah, that is a big part of what we talk about on calls, is if you've got a day job, how do we navigate that? First of all, what are the rules? You have to look at your employment agreement. You have to know your field, your industry, what's allowed, and creating a plan. If you're a new parent, if you're a new mom or a new dad, you're going to be short on time. You're short on sleep, How do we figure out what kind of things you can do when you can't be out and about at conferences and doing all that kind of stuff? And then, there's another category like me, right? I don't have kids and I don't have a partner. And so for me, I'm at the moment. So for me, I can go to anything, anytime, and show up there, take meetings, and stuff like that. Marketing strategy is going to look a little different, right? Is being choosier and pickier. How do you vet events? How do you vet opportunities? Because you can do it all. Like, there's no limitation, right? So Yeah, those calls are very valuable, and it's important to create a strategy. So that's a nice segue into talking a little bit about kind of how you develop the practice. So we can skip a little forward. How did you decide ultimately on a marketing strategy for yourself, knowing your situation?
So very soon after I first graduated from law school, I tried to do a firm at first. So it was supposed to be focused on estate planning. And so at the time, I found Martindale as far as advertising. I wasn't doing like the pay per lead, but I was doing like being featured on like lawyers.com. And I was actually getting phone calls from that, as many phone calls as I could take for myself. It wasn't maybe a whole ton for someone who is full-time, but for part-time, it was enough for me. But the thing is that I didn't have the structure in place. So it was hard for me to, first of all, take the phone calls while I was working. It was hard for me to set appointments with people and different things like that. So watching 2 Weeks to Trademarks, it helped me because you also gave advice on, like you said, okay, you have like you use like a call center type of thing set up. I think you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smith.ai. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. And so I use like a similar like call center, and then I saw that you had them schedule your events on Calendly. So I did that too. And it's been, so it's been much easier to operate. So not only did 2 Weeks to Trademarks like help walk me through the basics of learning how to do trademarks, but it also just gave me those little tips that they seem so small, but really they were the reason why I was able to even capture clients. Like it also gave my law firm a much more professional feel. I've had people call me and be like, we called your law firm because we wanted to stay with your law firm because y'all are the only one that has somebody to answer the phone. And yeah, and I was just like, oh wow, because I was like, well, okay, so I'm paying this, not too huge amount of money. It's not, breaking the bank to pay for these someone to answer my calls, but it's making such a huge difference. And I do know other attorneys that don't have someone to answer their calls, and you just show how valuable just taking these little steps are. So I think it's 2 Weeks to Trademarks is valuable beyond learning trademarks. You also like teach how to have a business.
I'm so glad that you touched on that, because that is such a big part of the vision that I had. And the something I feel so strongly about is that the practice area lives in a vacuum. It's law practice, but there's a business to running a firm. So, yes, if you have a job somewhere, then yeah, you only need to know how to do it. But what if that job disappears? What if you have other goals? Who knows? But the business side of it has to be touched on. You have to dive into it. Is, okay, you're marketing. What are you going to do when someone calls? Like, it's a very like easy question, but it's like, do you have a plan for that? And I'm so glad that you saw the value in the systems and the tools that we talk about surrounding just the practice area, because there's no point in you could do all the marketing in the world, but if you're not able to have someone capture all that and get it scheduled, what's the point? People are just going to go to someone else.
Yes. And I feel like the value of it was just so relevant to me because I started out, with a firm not having those things. So I really knew how much I was losing, but I just didn't know how to fix the problem. And you definitely helped fix the problem.
I got you. Yeah, I'm a big believer in always talking about the business side of things, because there's no point. And I have a lot of experience in that, working in small firms only. I've never worked in big law, and I've operated my own firm for longer than I haven't. In the 12 and a half years, it's been 7 and change of my own. So definitely know a thing or two about it. So speaking of running a firm and, trying to figure out all the different pieces in place, I know you mentioned a few moments ago that you were, understandably concerned about costs, especially, diving into something brand new, maybe not having the funds at that time. Can you talk us through kind of like what your decision-making process was as far as evaluating, the investment for yourself and seeing, okay, like, is there an ROI? What would that ROI be? And so on.
Yes. So, starting out in like the news industry, you don't make a whole ton of money. And so whenever I looked into this program, I was in my second job, and I was talking to a financial advisor. We were looking at my income, we were looking at my debts, and just kind of seeing what can I do to fix this problem, what can I do to make more money. And I definitely knew I had a whole skill set that wasn't being utilized as far as being able to practice law. And so I think that 2 weeks of trademarks can be affordable for a lot of people. You also have the option of paying in four, I think, paying in 4 payments. For me, I did go ahead and I took a second job to pay off some of my debts that was outside of law, and I used some of that money and I put it towards 2 weeks to trademarks. So I really saw it as an investment in myself. And so I put it towards 2 weeks to trademarks, and from that point, I just I calculated, okay, like I looked at online how much people were charging for trademarks, and I just decided, like, okay, these are my numbers from there. And after that, I put it into action. So I can't remember what my exact numbers were that I was looking at then, but I know that what I spent on was creating a new LLC, getting 2 weeks to trademarks. I also got reception 24/7 to answer my calls. I paid for Calendly. I talked to an attorney friend who is actually letting me use their TMTKO. And so that was really nice. So I think I sent her cookies or something. And then, and I'm trying to think of what else I spent on. I think I think those were my initial expenditures. No, also I found online a experienced trademark paralegal. And so it was a couple of thousand on the front end. I would say maybe about 5,000, 6,000 on the front end. But I made that money back within just a few months. And I immediately knew what I was doing as far as trademarks, and I was able to actually offer to people what I promised them, and it was an investment that paid off. So I'm so glad that I did it.
I'm so glad to hear that. God, there's nothing better than feeling like you took a chance on yourself. And it's nerve-wracking. You're nervous, you're excited kind of about the possibility, about freedom, and the convenience of it. But then you're like, wait, is this going to work? And we all have self-doubt, but there's no better feeling than being on the other side of it. That's such an awesome feeling. So in terms of, the next steps after you made the investment, you're getting things going, how quickly did you personally see, feeling like you had an ROI on, at least the investment of the course and the knowledge of it, and starting to get clients rolling in and things like that?
Yeah, so I think I got my return on investment like probably in by December.
So you took it in November and you got, I love that.
I took it in September, October, and I think I got my return on investment probably even before December, but I remember December being a busier month for me. And so I would say by December, I'd gotten that return on investment, and I was able to I wasn't having trouble paying for my, advertising. I wasn't having trouble paying for my paralegal, anything like that. I was able to even pay myself. It wasn't a whole ton, maybe 1,000, 2,000 or whatever, but it was definitely more than I thought I would be able to do, within just that short amount of time.
We're on a 60-day turnaround, ma'am. I'm like, I've had food in my fridge at times longer than that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was, and it felt very powerful because nobody in my family really owns their own business or anything like that. And so I never really I thought of it as a possibility, but I didn't know like how real it could be for me. But yeah, very real. And I would say within 1 year's time, so this is like less than a year, but I'd started kind of transitioning over to business law basically a year ago. So within 1 year's time, I made really the same amount that I made my first year of being a news reporter, just doing this part-time.
And on your
So
terms.
yeah, so I thought that was awesome.
I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly recap here before we move on. You have a whole entire thing that you do during the day. You have a whole, and you're able to practice law on your terms when you want to, how you want to, and it fits in wherever and however. And you're making a viable income aside from what you're doing during the day.
Yes, it's always great. Like I know that if I'm asked to do something or if I have something I want to do, like basically I'm going to Jamaica in October. And so there was like a certain amount that we had to pay. And I was just like, oh yeah, like I have my business, like I'll just pay myself from my business account. And so
Oh my
I
God.
just went ahead and paid it. And I'm really looking forward to going to Jamaica. So
I think this is phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. Oh my gosh. And to be able to live worry-free and to be able to do the things that you want to do, take vacations,
yeah.
live a fulfilling life and not feel like you're like on a hamster wheel all the time.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely feels good. And it also feels good because you can kind of control it. You can scale it up or you can scale it down. Really, if I want to make more money, I just need to do like more like Facebook Live, and then I can make more money. Or if I'm like too busy, like at the time, I'm like, okay, I can't possibly handle anything else. Like I just kind of stop for a second.
So you feel like you have control over like turning the faucet on, off, higher, lower.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, what are some of the things that, like you mentioned Facebook Lives, what are some of the other things that you would do or do if you do want to turn up the dial? Like, what do you feel like is under your control?
Yeah, so what I did was I signed up. I went to like a business owners, just like I guess a business owners fair, just like different support that the city that I was in at the time was offering. And so whatever, there were like mentorship programs and all kinds of stuff. So I would sign up for those and I would tell them, when you're an attorney, you have like a pretty useful, you have a useful skill set. And so, even though you can get mentorship, which I have gotten and I'm very happy about, they also look to you to provide mentorship to people. And so I just would do Zooms, like Zooms with a bunch of people that would just sign up through these mentorship programs. And I would tell them about trademarks. And that was like one free way that I would get like at least a lot of people at least getting a search report. Like sometimes that search report wasn't super successful and they weren't ready to like develop a new name or something, but at least starting them with the search report and very often having, maybe like a handful of people actually move all the way forward with the whole trademark process. So that's been one way as far as free advertising that has been a little bit more discreet. But definitely a way to help people. So that's one way that I turn the faucet on when I need to. As far as, I'll do Facebook Lives. So I'll make them public sometimes, and other times when I don't need that kind of scrutiny, I'll just turn it off, so those are two ways that I've been able to keep my clientele fairly regular.
It's incredible. You've been an attorney for a couple of years, been in trademarks literally for 6 months. 6-7 months, and look at you already. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah, that's the exciting part, that this is just the beginning, because I kind of like this year, I was like, okay, this is going to be my tweaking year. It's going to be the year that I learn. And I feel like I've been, pretty successful just doing this part-time for a year. So I'm ready to kind of implement some more things to bring it to the next level.
I love that. I don't want to pry, but if you feel comfortable, even just ballpark range, talking generally, however much you want to specify or get general, talking numbers, because everyone's a business person and you are a numbers person, as I
Yeah.
can see. Can you share with folks kind of like what you've been able to see as far as trademark revenue?
Yes. So as far as trademark revenue has been, I would say, like my most revenue of everything I've been doing with business law. I don't know everything that specifically was trademarks, but I know that doing this part-time for about a year, overall revenue has been like 24,000. And so that has been, yeah, that's pretty decent for me, and to where I know that if I was to not have the job that I have now and I was to just solely focus on it, I've been spending like maybe like an hour a day on this, 2 hours a day on this. So
Listen, I'm no mathematician, but your hourly rate is higher than probably the president's at that point.
yeah, and so I know that if I was to spend 8 hours on this, then I could multiply this times that amount times 4, multiply that amount times 6 or something like that. So so I do feel like there's definitely a future in it.
I'm so proud of you. 24,000 for dipping a toe when you want to, when it's convenient, when it works for you, and seeing the return on it. I mean, what a success story. And it's really just the infancy of it. I mean, we're going to check back. One of my favorite things about doing this is checking in with you guys year after year and just seeing you go. And I'm like, hey, don't forget us on the cover of Forbes. Like, okay, like it's so incredible to watch. And that you took this and ran with it, and to take tools, to take knowledge and develop into something. So, I know you've touched on, being able to take a trip to Jamaica stress-free and pay for it stress-free, and obviously fitting this into your lifestyle. But can you talk us through, like, how would you say the course has impacted, changed your life for the better?
In so many ways, because really, I feel like I finally feel really knowledgeable in an area. Of course, I have something that I can, always something to learn. There's so much to learn in this, but it feels good being able to help people. Like, I'm literally solving people's problems. Like, people are getting cease and desist letters and they could lose like tens of thousands of dollars, and like I'm helping them avoid that problem. And so I would say, it just makes myself feel good. That may not be like, like one tangible thing. I feel like the Jamaica thing is a tangible thing, but as far as like how I feel on the inside, like I truly am able to help people, that's been like such a really big thing for me. Because when I first finished law school, I was looking for work that I could do alongside of my work on the news, and it just wasn't working out for me. People just weren't hiring me. And so this program has also given me the confidence of just knowing that, yeah, I can do something, I can do it well, and I can control I can control my career. I don't have to wait for somebody else to decide, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance now. Like, I can give my own self the chance, and not have to wait on anyone else. And I would say that's been like a huge boost for me.
I love that. And it's a happy area of law. You're helping people, but also those people are generally, I think, great to work with. I think trademark clients they're low drama or no drama at all. They're not mean, they're not rude, there's no crying, like that we see in some other fields.
Yeah, I really like every single one of my trademark clients. Like, I like them so much. And I'm like I'm genuinely happy to like see their businesses flourish. And I just think it's so cool. I'm like, oh, you do press on nails. Like, I love press on nails. Like, come on right now. Or like, oh, like you fix cars. And I just think that's so cool. Like, like my brother loves cars and that kind of thing. Like, there's always just something that I can relate to. Even my beautician, like she got one. And so, I love hair and just beauty. And so being able to like work in that space and be around that, I mean, so it is really happy. Like, I enjoy it, because these are all things that I care about. And you're right, it's positive. they know their stuff already. They already care about being a business owner. They wouldn't have contacted you in the first place. So it makes a good fit between me and my clients doing trademarks.
I'm so glad to hear that. So would you say the investment was worth it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say it's worth it. It's totally worth it. You know, there are payment plans that people can do. You know, saving up for it doesn't take too long, and the payoff that you can get from it is just like so immediate. And the confidence that you have in yourself and actually doing actually doing trademarks is immediate as well. I just remember like whenever I first finished your course and I was like, okay. And I went to my beautician. I was like, hey, I know that you're concerned about, growing your business. And I know that there's so many people that do copycats, like they'll take your Instagram photos and share and act like they did all these things. And I was like, we can do something to prevent that. And here's what it is. And she said yes right away. And because of everything I learned from 2 weeks of trademarks, like I was able to just, hit the ground running. And definitely wouldn't have even been possible without you. So
oh my God.
yeah.
This is like, I'm blown and shooketh that it's only been a couple of months. Like that's crazy. And look at you, how much confidence you have, how boldly you're walking into this field and doing business already and helping people, being happier yourself. Like it's a win all around. And still getting to do your day job. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, like that's the great thing for me, because so many people ask me, okay, when are you going to stop like doing the news or whatever? Like I love doing it. Like I'm having a lot of fun. It's like my passion, but I also have this other passion, and it's nice to be able to do this as needed. And Sonia, really, whenever I finished school, honestly, people were not taking a chance on me. I don't know why that's the case, but that was the case. And so like really, I don't only feel like I took a chance on myself, but I feel like, you're also taking a chance, showing people how to do this. A lot of people wouldn't be as confident to share their secrets or to even let people know like, oh, I found this great way to make money and to practice. Like a lot of people don't want to share those things when they learn them. I think it's so cool that you decided to share your expertise and share that wealth with other people.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is, everyone's taking a chance because, you take a chance on me by trusting that I will teach you and that I can, and so that's what I say in all of my emails to you guys. And when we talk, like, thank you for trusting me with your brain to make sure that I can pour into it and mold it into, what can be a success. So I'm so glad. It's so rewarding. It's amazing what it's done for you, but there is an aspect of this that is so fulfilling for me because I was in your shoes 12 and a half years ago, right? I remember being in those shoes where no one would take a chance on me. I had terrible grades, so I deserved it. Like I hated law school. So like I deserved the no chances, but no one I couldn't get a job. I knew I wanted to do trademarks, and it's like, you can't get hired without experience. How do you get experience without a job? And where this comes in is like, okay, you may not have like technical years of experience, but you can speak knowledgeably, the words, the vocabulary, the processes, how things happen. You can speak intelligently to where, people are getting jobs with the material too. That's a whole nother avenue that people are taking it. I mean, it's so fun to see the different paths people are taking, but to be able to speak in a cover letter or in an interview and say, yes, I know how this and an office action, an SOU. And they're like, well, dang, all right, you may not have been an attorney for very long, but you know what you're talking about. So it is, you're taking a chance on me, I'm taking a chance on you. And you took a chance on you. And I think that is, it's scary. It's scary to do, but when you're on the other side of it, it's just like the most delicious feeling. I'm so proud of you. I can't say it enough. I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you, Sonia, for everything. And yeah, I will always be, singing the praises of this program. I'm so happy that I invested in it.
Thank you. One last question for you, because I know we've been at it for a while. If someone, is on the fence, they've been eyeing it kind of like where you were, and just trying to pro con, then there's the money, then there's the time, there's the what would you tell someone who's on the fence? Anything you want to tell them?
If someone is on the fence, I would say, I would say trademarks are probably the most fun I've ever had, like doing things involved with law. And as expensive as things are these days, I feel like this investment, I feel like honestly, and maybe I shouldn't even be telling you this, I feel like it could be more expensive for what you're offering.
People say that all the time. They say that all the time.
Yeah, like I feel like it could be, I feel like it is worth even more than I paid for it. Because you were conversational in it. You went through, like, you even showed, I didn't even know what the USPTO website was before before even watching that program. So it's easy to watch, it's easy to get through those hours. It comes with documents that make communicating with clients like so much easier. It's full of like pep talks. It helps you even like construct your business. So if you're concerned, you don't know if you want to start, I would say go ahead and do 2 weeks of trademarks, because it covers so many of your bases. It answers so many of the questions that that you would maybe have to pay someone even more money to find out, or that you would have to dedicate more time and energy to finding out. And it's going to come out in the end to where you're really actually going to like and enjoy doing the practice area. So because Sonia teaches you how to basically start your business and how to do your business and how to make your clients happy, and it's fun, I would say, don't be on the fence, just do it.
I'm so glad. Thank you. Is there anything that you want to share? Anything that we didn't cover, but that you really want to make sure people get to hear? Anything at all? Any negatives? We want to be fair. We don't always want to, anything that you feel like didn't meet expectations. We can be fair. I'm okay with that.
Let's see. So for me, small details can be like a little bit hard for me to retain all the time. And so, so there is like a lot of kind of technical stuff with going through the USPTO like website. But one thing I do like about it, you can always rewind, go back, watch it again, just make sure that you get it super, super right. So I think that's great. And if people still have questions, they can call you on the phone. For me, I feel like my next step to really being able to put everything that you taught there in practice was to hire that online paralegal. And so I would say maybe, go ahead and take that next step for if you have more questions, but, maybe you can't like afford a phone call or something that month with Sonia, but you can pay maybe an experienced trademark paralegal, then, do that. But just whatever you do, don't stop, don't give up, because there's always a solution just around the corner, which is also something that I learned from 2 weeks to trademarks. Like there are all kinds of little solutions that you can put into play to make things work.
An endless amount of tools, endless. I mean, business is not rocket science. It's about proven strategies and formulas. And you just have to have someone who's willing to share, someone who's done it, who can share, the secrets. That's really all it is. And it doesn't need to be this like scary smoke and mirrors thing. So I love your mindset. I love how much you invest in yourself and how much confidence you have already, and that you keep building on it. So as I always say, may this be the worst year you've had in business and it's only up from here. Thank you so much for obviously taking the time today, but also for trusting me, and for, trusting yourself and taking a chance on yourself. I'm so glad it's worth it.
Well, thank you. It's definitely been worth it. And I really look forward to taking more of your courses in the future.
Thank you. And I hope you'll join on the live reteach coming soon, if you can. I know you're You're busy, but you'll get the new module. So at least they'll be replaced in Kajabi. So
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you.
yes, my pleasure. Well, I will leave you to the rest of your day. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.